The Chaser Decides is rated M for a mature audience. It contains coarse language.
Good evening and welcome to The Chaser Decides, live from the National Tally Room in Canberra. And the news here, if you've just joined us, is that Australians have voted overwhelmingly for a return to Conservative rule. Yes, the status quo of Conservative government has been maintained with the election of Kevin Rudd, quite possibly the most Conservative leader we've had since, well, Menzies, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I think also Australians viewed Howard as too honest, not enough spin, so they've delivered an emphatic victory to Rudd.
Well, they have indeed. In fact, if we just take a look at the state of the chamber, this is how it looked before Saturday's poll, and this is how it looked when Kevin's victory celebrations took over in the early hours of the morning. They went on it, didn't it?
It got pretty wild. It was an extraordinary swing to Labor, of course, across the whole country. Do we have any figures to show that?
Yeah, well, a very big swing. Nationwide, 6.3% to Labor. But later in the night, there was a fascinating swing back away from Labor after everyone heard Rudd's victory speech.
Oh, it was atrocious, wasn't it? I mean, if he'd delivered that speech the night before, I think Howard would have, bolted it in.
Oh, you're telling me.
Whereas I thought Howard, by contrast, made a very fine, gracious concession speech. And to think that probably will be the last time we'll ever see him on that stage of his beloved Wentworth Hotel in Sydney. Well, it was always a great bash, wasn't it? But sadly, in the past, a lot of idiots have tried to gate crash the fun. Here we are, one of those idiots gate crashing in 2001. And then another donkey managed to get on stage in 2004. They're just spoiling it for everyone.
It really is pathetic. I mean, and there's no way they were going to let that happen a third time. This is the Liberal Party, you know. They've spent 11 years strengthening security.
You know, we decide who comes to the Wentworth and the circumstances in which they come.
Yeah, and yet, despite that, though, some slippery union thug managed to gate crash the party to gloat.
We came back! Yeah, Joe McDonald's back in town! Ha ha ha! Yes, we're gonna stuff your economy! Ha ha! We're gonna make Gough Whitlam treasurer! Oh my God, we've done so well!
Sorry, you can't come in here.
Well, hang on, we come back!
Yeah, I know.
We've come back! I promised we'd come back!
When?
We're gonna get the Painters and Dockers Union to repaint the lodge! Big Joe's back in town! Don't remove me, I only just came back!
Just no place for that kind of stupidity, is there? No, well, all stupid moustaches. I'm not sure what was going on with that guy. Presumably it was something to do with Movember, but it was the same ridiculous thing with Jeff Kennett on election night.
Oh, yes, and of course, once a Liberal like Kennett had done it, there was more Me Tooism from Kevin Rudd. It's just pathetic.
Yeah, well, but Chris is right. I mean, it was Kennett's moustache that everyone was talking about. I think Peter Beattie's thoughts summed it up for most of us. Which is how he acted when he was in power, wasn't it?
Yeah, although, to be fair to Kennett, I mean, I actually thought he kept believing in the Liberals all night, which was much better than Helen Coonan on Channel 9. Did you see her? She really seemed to take that result very badly.
Yeah.
We'll just wait and see how it travels a bit longer before we open the vein and hop in the bath.
Which she ended up doing 5 minutes later.
Of course, the really fascinating contest of the night turned out to be Bennelong. Can we just bring that up, Jules?
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, Bennelong was a very safe seat for the Liberals for 33 years. But as you can see, it was affected by some recent boundary changes.
And when that happened, it was always going to be an ALP game, wasn't it?
Well, I mean, the two are so closely intertwined, not even Kerry O'Brien can tell them apart.
With 60% of the vote counted and a margin of 4.1%, the swing to the ABC, the swing that was going to happen at some point tonight, the swing to the ALP is 5%.
Well, that sort of bias was apparent on the ABC all night, wasn't it? I mean, particularly in the interview. Did you see how the ABC got to interview Maxine?
Are you ready for the life of a federal parliamentarian? Or... No, not for a day. Not for a day. We'll hope to come back and see what the progress is later in the evening. But thanks for your presence for the moment.
Certainly, though, an incredible, unprecedented result for Maxine, and I think the result gave a lot of people here at the ABC pause for thought.
Come on, late line. Yeah, don't think you're not thinking it too, Kerry.
No, too old.
You know, I really envy the people of Bennelong. It must be very satisfying to actually vote out a sitting Prime Minister. But if, like me, you don't actually live in Howard's electorate, you didn't get that privilege. I did find, though, that there is still another way of having your say on election day. Attention, ladies and gentlemen. Please be advised that there is a desperate Prime Minister on the premises. He may try to approach you and to influence your vote. Please try to remain comfortable and relax. He will be escorted from the premises by federal police shortly. And no matter what happens today, we won't be back to bother you at an election again.
Too long. So dial yourself down and move further right. Now that you're right can't be wrong. Now learn from Philip Ruddock. All about greenness. Take Ruddock's genes and take his blood. Shorten Ruddock's name and you're left with Rudd. ALP, same as the LIB. Now right of the NATs. ALP, sham party with a sham victory.
Alan Jones is calling Rudd his right-hand man.
Alan Jones is calling Rudd his right-hand man.
Genghis Khan is writing on his Facebook wall.
He's hoping Garrett's right, and once you're in, you're gonna change it all. The working family soundbite was the reason for your landslide win.
But what does it mean? I haven't got a clue.
No, it's typical Labour spin. Now, shout at working families. Shout it one more time.
Till you go blue in the face. Makes no word of sense, but it's sure to win the race.
Oh, ALP, sound bites are your specialty. Thank God you lost Kim Beazley. Left wing free, don't mention the ACTU.
So I just vote for Mickey Mouse because I think he'd do a fucking terrific top-ass job.
Still live in the National Tally Room, nursing democracy's hangover. And Jules, are we getting any new figures in?
No. But I have done some remodelling of the chamber. This is how the lower house currently stands. But on my projections, this is how it'd look if Benny Hill was elected.
Interesting, yeah.
Tell you what, I did have to sympathise with anyone who had to broadcast on Saturday night. It seemed in the tally room, the boneheads were out of control.
Oh, yes, it was open season, wasn't it? They were boneheading Anthony Green, boneheading Helen Coonan. Kerry O'Brien copped a fair bit of finger in the ear boneheading, which I thought was a nice twist.
I haven't seen that one
Look,
before.
even babies were boneheading by the end of the evening.
Yeah, it is a shame, though. I mean, it just turns the whole thing into a circus. Down in that National Tally Room, you have serious political journalists, people like Mel and Koshy, Andrew O'Keefe. How can they work with this sideshow going on?
I know. I was very impressed by Seven's coverage, I have to say. Brilliant innovations.
Well, they're the pioneers. I love those little cartoons that they had every time that Kevin Rudd won a seat. That was good. And also that they pioneered the extreme close-up, zooming in unnaturally close on Tanya Plibersek and Joe Hockey.
It was the kind of tabloid, emotive camera work that thankfully you'd never see here at the ABC.
Oh, no, I mean, it would just look ridiculous.
Probably quite ugly.
Although, credit where credit's due, I did think that Anthony Green's chamber graphic was a cut above the rest, particularly that zoom-down action that he's got on the chamber graphic. Everyone's doing zooms these days, but there's still no one who zooms in from as far away as I do. Watch it and weep, boys. Take that, Anthony Green.
But hang on, so you've gone through the chamber there. You're in the toilet or something?
Yeah, but I did call that toilet seat for Labor, and I was 100% right.
So then what can we expect now from a Rudd Labor government? All campaign, the Liberals have told us that Kevin Rudd is on his L plates. But surely now that he's won office, he's ready to move on up.
Kevin, the Lib said you needed L plates, but you've passed, Kevin. So we got you some P plates. You want your P plates, Kevin? The P stands for populist, pious, a little bit punsy, but it's also for Prime Minister. Come on, Kevin.
And to that P list, you can also add Ping Yao Zhonghua. That's Mandarin for smug twerp.
All right, well, let's take a look at some of the key seats that helped Rudd to victory.
Yes, well, look, Queensland was obviously decisive for Labor in the end. Can we have a look at Moncrief there on the Gold Coast?
Yeah, Moncrief, traditionally a very safe Liberal seat, but the timing of the election was crucial here because it fell right during schoolies. So if you have a look at the two-party preferred result from 2004, you can see a strong result for the Liberal Party there, but with the influx of kids for schoolies, the seat swung dramatically to the all-night binge party.
Another key seat, of course, was Jackie Kelly's former seat of Lindsay.
Yes, I'll just bring that up. Here's how Lindsay looked at the last election, but then a rather regrettable flyer drop by Jackie Kelly's husband swung the vote right around and resulted in a big loss for the Liberals. And actually here, the Liberal candidate, Karen Chidjoff, also lost her husband on preferences.
Well, look, I've got a copy of the infamous flyer right here. It's pretty tawdry stuff, suggesting that Labor supports the Bali bombers and pro-Muslim extremists.
And look, I mean, how do we know they don't?
Well, they probably do.
I mean, I saw some pretty suspicious people handing out for Labor in Lindsay on election day.
Bali bombers supporting the Labor Party. Bali bombers supporting the Labor Party.
Vote terrorist, madam.
Yeah. More Bali bombings, vote Labor, please.
Allah Akbar, madam.
No, you don't hand them out. They hand these out. These are the Liberal ones. These are the official Liberal flyer. No, this is the one. No, this is the one you guys want. Hey, Karen! Help us out the flyers, Karen. Come on. You guys have done such a good job handing out flyers. You should finish it. Oh, I know what you mean. I had nothing to do with it too. Where'd these flyers come from? I don't know. Let's get rid of them one at a time. Here you go. Here, please help us hand them out. Karen, come on. No one's understood the Bali bombers for years. What's the matter? Please support us. It's just a Chaser-style prank. Ask Jackie Kelly.
Monday night on Dynasties, a special look at the wider Downer family and their contributions to public life over 5 generations.
I'm not a Downer by birth. I'm from the Nobbleberry Maple Brown Pamby family, and I married into the Downer family, which of course made me a Nobbleberry Maple Brown Pamby Downer.
Follow the family from their early days of struggle.
Well, we were only living off 1 million guineas a year in old speak, and there was this terrible feud between the Nobbleberry Maple Brown Pambys and the Bottomley Pomple Poncy Ponces.
That's where Alexander stepped in. He brokered a peace between the Pambys and the Poncy Ponces, and I remember thinking that boy will make a very fine foreign minister one day, and sure enough, I was wrong.
To a life of distinction and service at the very highest level.
I owe everything to Alexander. He introduced me to my wife at a party given by the Farrelly Twitty Twatty Twat Twats. And that very day, I proposed to Felicity here.
And I said, yes, I'd love to be Mrs. Nobbleberry Maple Brown Pamby Farrelly Twitty Twatty Twat.
I think you left off a twat there.
No, I dropped the second twat. I'm not one for hyphenated names.
That's Dynasties, Monday night at 8 on ABC.
I'm scared about the unionists coming in because I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know. And if who are you meant to vote for? I don't really want to vote. I think voting sucks, especially if you don't know anything about it.
Welcome back to election 2007, the only coverage that guarantees to use the term Ruddslide every 10 minutes. And Jules, can we have a look at some new figures now?
Yeah, sure. Oh, for God's sake, buzz off. Get back to Channel 7 where you belong. Honestly, they've got no control over those things. OK, well, obviously the Ruddslide, or Kevalanche as I prefer to call it, has transformed the chamber. Before Saturday, there were only 60 red ALP seats. But thanks to Kevin Rudd, Labor's now got more than 85 beige ones.
Yes, well, just about the only red thing left in the Parliament, it seems, is Barnaby Joyce's face.
Oh, poor Barnaby. The more seats that went to Labor, the redder it got.
He was like a beach shirt, wasn't he?
OK, well, Chas Licciardello, you were out and about on election day. Now, what was the mood like at the booths?
Well, the message from the exit polls was very clear all day, Craig. Basically, voters hate having to vote, and they particularly hate those people who hand out flyers out the front. Now, you might recall last election I offered some tips on how to bypass them. But very few people took that advice, so this year I offer all new solutions. First, I employed the ancient evasive techniques of ninja stealth. Next, I applied the principle that if they can't reach you, they can't hand you a flyer.
Take them, but I'm watching you too short, guys. Sorry. All the better. Oh, Jesus Christ! Labour is going fine! Piss off!
Finally, I decided to really turn up the heat.
You've had a vote.
Hey, flyer, give me a flyer! Give me a flyer! Someone give me a flyer, please! Give me a flyer! Give me a flyer! Ah, it's hot! Oh, my God!
Give it back!
Guys are unbelievable! Foiled again.
The lengths some people go to.
Just looking at some of the coalition seats here for a sec, have we got the final figures in for Higgins, Peter Costello's seat?
Yeah, very sad story for the former Treasurer here. As you can see, this seat's been transformed in recent years from a buoyant government seat to one that really looks like the Liberals won't be able to hold on to.
Oh, well, look, I mean, everybody was just astonished when Costello announced that he wasn't going to challenge for the leadership.
Well, he's just not good at leadership challenges, clearly. I mean, he won't even challenge when he's uncontested.
And now I see that pretty much every Liberal has thrown their hat in the ring. In fact, have we got to see the party's latest ad?
70% of Liberal ministers will be leadership contenders.
That's not too far off the truth. In fact, I notice even our old mate Tony Abbott thrown his... put his hand up for the job. And boy, did you see Helen Coonan's response to that?
We'll just wait and see how it travels a bit longer before we open the vein and hop in the bar.
Well, Saturday's landslide to Labor was historic in more ways than one. The result means that for the first time ever, there are no Liberal governments operating at either the federal or state level.
That's right, it's astonishing. In fact, you've now got to trawl as low as Brisbane local government to find the most senior Liberal leader in the land.
Yeah, that's the man right there, Campbell Newman, the Mayor of Brisbane, and currently the only Liberal leader with any power whatsoever. So I went to congratulate the man himself on his stunning rise to the top.
Congratulations, mate. You're the most senior Liberal in the country. So we've got you the kit that you need. This is the ceremonial handing over of the jersey. There's your Wallabies jersey. Wear it with pride, especially on the morning walk. And that's Peter Costello's sour grapes. Now, they are preserved. They're going to stay sour forever.
OK. It's very kind of you to come around this morning.
Well, we do what we can.
It just shows that someone cares.
Well, we do care, and congratulations on
thank you
ascending right to the top of a very short hill.
I'm honoured.
John Gorton, Malcolm Fraser, former leaders of the Liberal Party whose lives after politics have been characterised by a shift towards left-leaning views. And so too with John Howard. He's only been out of office 4 days, but already Howard has been seen campaigning for refugees, speaking at anti-war rallies, and as early as Monday he made a formal apology to the stolen generation.
No, I really wasn't that surprised. Former Liberal PMs do mellow a little and show their bleeding heart side. But I was a bit shocked to see the pictures of Castro.
The Cuba visit was part of a whirlwind tour which saw the new-look Howard hold talks with his left-wing counterparts, Hugo Chavez, Kim Jong-il and Phillip Adams. Mr. Howard couldn't be contacted for comment tonight as he was flat out having a threesome with wife Jeanette and John Pilger.
You're watching The Chase that Decides, live and exclusive. Give or take a day or two. And guys, where to for John Howard? What's his next step?
Well, look, I think first things first. I mean, he's obviously got to move out of Kirribilli House and try to get his bond back, which is not easy.
No, I think Howard's really going to miss that place. 11 years he's lived there, not counting the 2 nights he spent at the lodge, of course.
And there's going to be a period of adjustment. I mean, let's be honest about this. I mean, he's moving into his family home at Wollstonecraft. He's going to miss the harbour views.
Well, not necessarily, Chris. I've certainly done what I can to make Howard's transition as seamless as possible.
Morning, Mr. Howard. We know you're losing the view, so we've decided to get you a replacement. You can take this wherever you have to live now. We put a tamper on there, some children overboard back here. We've taken a bit of artistic licence with the representation there, but I suppose truth doesn't really matter in these refugees things, does it? Where would you like us to take it, Mr. Howard? Wollstonecraft? That'll ease the pain a little bit. It's a little bit of a consolation prize on the public purse, just like Kirribilli House.
I bet he's looking forward to some quieter morning walks.
Yes, just getting back to the the chamber, Julian. I'm getting some new trends out of the postal votes at the moment, if we just bring the chamber up.
Sure, I'll factor those in. This is the chamber on those current figures. But this is how it would look if the chamber was in Taiwan.
Oh, they love biffo in Taiwan. You don't cross the floor there unless it's to punch someone.
No, it's a different culture in many ways, isn't it? I guess the only real local equivalent we've got might be Bill Heffernan. He's a man that takes no crap.
Yeah, of course, Heffernan's the man who made headlines this year too when he called Julia Gillard barren and said she couldn't understand parents because she's never had kids. A line of argument I took up with him on Saturday night. Hey, Bill. You know you said that Julia couldn't really represent families because they didn't have kids. Well, I was just thinking, like, what if there's some gay people in your electorate, Bill? Because, like, you don't know what it's like to be gay, but how can you really represent them, Bill? Because, you know, Julia can't represent people with kids.
I'm sorry this has happened to you.
It's okay, it's fine. What is it like? You know, you and I can... I don't know either. We can find out what it's like.
You want to go and pull your pudding, pull it somewhere else.
Well, can I pull your pudding just so we can see what it's like, and then you can represent gay people in your electorate?
Mate, you are getting very close to the quick.
Close to the quick?
Could you please leave?
You don't want a quickie?
Please
just
leave.
To see what it's like. Okay. How will we know, though?
Introducing the perfect piece of political memorabilia for any working family, the Kevin Rudd earwax sculpture. Lovingly finger-crafted during the boring bits of question time, these magnificent statuettes are completely edible as well. So say me too to the Kevin Rudd earwax sculpture. It's an excavation revolution.
I want to say one thing. Fuck the politics shit, man. Shit. Just fuck it. Who gives a fuck?
Back live in the tally room, double-checking once and for all that Saturday night wasn't just a dream. And it's time once again to present the prestigious Mal Award.
Yes, the award we give out each week to the candidate who's made the biggest stuff-up on the campaign trail. And to help us present the Grand Mal this week, we're delighted to welcome the man who gave his name to the award, Mr. Mal Meninga.
Welcome, Mal.
Thanks, guys.
Take a seat, please. Look, tell us, what does it mean to have an award such as this named after you?
Well, guys, certainly an honour and a great privilege, and to be associated with something like this... I'm bucket, sorry.
Mal Meninga there proving he hasn't lost that magic touch. But when it came to awarding the Grand Mal for campaign 2007, there was one clear candidate who stood head and shoulders above everyone.
The Mal goes to none other than the retiring Liberal member for Lindsay, Jackie Kelly.
Yes, Jackie wins for her association with those bogus flyers, suggesting that the ALP was one big Al-Qaeda-loving party.
But the icing on the cake was when Jackie herself tried to justify the flyers as a bit of harmless fun.
My view is that it's a bit of a chaser-style prank.
Yes, we reckon these flyers cross the lines of dodginess even by our low standards.
So for her association with the poisonous flyers and for not knowing what a chaser prank actually looks like, we awarded Jackie Kelly the Grand Mal.
Jackie Kelly, you've won the Mal Award.
Thank you. Second time.
Second time. It is the second time you're live.
Second time.
For stuff-ups on the campaign trail.
Thank you very much.
There you go. Wonderful. Now look,
that disastrous media interview, wasn't it? Yes,
it was. But can we show you? Let's show you what a real chaser prank looks like, everyone. Hey, this is what a chaser prank looks like. Next time your husband's putting out pampers, we'll provide a spruiker.
I've seen him
Where's
before.
a Sama?
I've seen the pepper shaker before, and I've seen a Sama before, and I've seen the Trojan horse
Exactly.
before.
Where were these in yours?
Pepper? Coke pepper with your mate?
Yes, no thanks.
No Coke pepper?
No Coke pepper with that one. Is
The Grand Mal, you get to keep it. At least you got something to remember your career by, Jackie.
No, they took the other one off me.
Only if somebody makes a bigger stuff up than you and your husband, and I don't know.
Yes.
That could be a while.
It did cost us rather significantly in Lindsay. Well,
don't you reckon Karen Chichov would have done better with, instead of having that silly ute, she had that?
I think she had that in her husband anyway, so... But
oh, you think he was the Trojan horse? You can't help you married too. But at least you can share this award.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
A very deserving winner and a fitting end to campaign 2007 from all of us here at The Chaser.
Yes, sadly, this is our final program for the year. We're hoping to take some time off next year, but hopefully we'll be back on your screen sometime one day in the not-too-distant future.
Possibly next week even. In fact, if we have a look at the final figures in the seat of cross-promotion, I noticed there's a 1-hour Best of the War and Everything special at 8:30 next Wednesday.
So we'll leave you now to contemplate a new future under Kevin Rudd. And it was an election that made many Australians contemplate their own futures.
Yes, look at them here. People like Alan Jones clearly have a lot weighing on their mind. So too Bill Heffernan.
So on that note, that's all from us here in the tally room for now. John Winston Howard has finally gone, and it's now only a matter of days before we realise that Rudd's even worse.
We'll leave you tonight with this final tribute to the outgoing leader. Until next time, have a good night.
And now the end is here. No Howard rule, no spending frenzies. He bored us 11 years, but couldn't match the run of Menzies. He walked for miles and miles, his hobbit feet on every highway. But now the prick is gone, he did it his way. Jack Dawes